Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and tickets for the Thunderbolts went on sale, and you know what that means. We got a new teaser with a fresh look at Sentry's, Void's persona, plus his weird menacing voice, some new weapons for Yelena, and a mysterious man in a chicken suit. Who is the man in the chicken suit? There's just so much to look at, so let's discuss this teaser trailer all through and through. But first, be sure to check out nerdride.shop, where you can always find the latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. We got some Fantastic Four merch right now. You can get some featuring the Fantastic Car. You can also find some merch inspired by Star Wars, Superman, and whatever other fandoms you're really into and just want to rock on your back. Support the channel and check out nerdride.shop for some great swag. Alright, now let's get into this teaser. We open on a shot of the Avengers Tower being converted into what we assume will be the Watchtower. We've been talking about the Watchtower every time we cover the Thunderbolts, so you already know what it's about. We know that Val was the one who purchased the former Stark Avengers Tower, and these new additions to the tower have a dark gray and black accents different from the gleaming silver and blue colors we're used to seeing in the building. This is similar to the comics where Sentry had his own Watchtower base in the same building as Tony Stark and the Avengers. On the landing pad of the building, you can see one of the helicopters that will come crashing down later in the trailer. And then Alexei says this to Yelena.
Being the hero, there is no higher calling. Serving people in the street, adored like gods.
Alexei's saying this to Yelena in his apartment, so this line probably comes in the film's first act, but it's so fun to see it juxtaposed with Alexei being a hero and saving a little girl. On the wall behind Yelena, you can see a poster, maybe even a movie poster, featuring the Red Guardian. You can make out with the white X on the chest of his uniform, and I wonder if Alexei picked this up on eBay. We don't know who the woman is next to Red Guardian on the movie poster. Maybe Ophelia Sarkisian, also known as Viper. Viper at one point was also known as Madam Hydra in the comics. In those comics, the name Madam Hydra has been used several of times to the Hydra's top female operatives, including at one point Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. There was a version of Viper in Fox's 2013 film The Wolverine, but due to rights issues, she couldn't be called Madam Hydra in that film. We see the chaos on the street as chunks of concrete fall from the sky, presumably from Sentry's void form wrecking a building. Everyone's clapping around them, so they must have stopped most of the falling debris, the moving vehicles, or the falling helicopters, but not the war against Sentry's void. Alexei jumps in and saves a little girl almost crushed by a falling piece of concrete. It smashes over his back and he doesn't even flinch. Even though Alexei got the Soviet Hydra version of the super soldier serum, he's still pretty tough. When Alexei says adored like gods, we see Dark Sentry, and that's a joke. That's not his name. That's not what we're gonna call him. He's hovering menacingly about the city in his Sentry void form, the dark entity that is tied to Bob Reynolds' Sentry. The production design is just so cool. How he's presented as just a living shadow. It's so pitch black that no light could escape except for these two little pinpricks of white for his eyes, which you can barely even see. As civilians run in a panic, he effortlessly turns them into shadows on the pavement. We've seen this scene a couple times in other Thunderbolts trailers, but it definitely evokes the shadows created by the victims of the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Truly haunting imagery. As we see what's happening to these people in New York, we have to wonder if this can be undone or if these people are just gone forever. Also, if you're living in the MCU 616, I beg you, move away from New York City. You would think after the first time it happened, you go, you know what? I'm moving to the West Coast, or I'm moving to Alaska. Nothing happens bad there except for, vampires, but still, it's not as bad as what happens in New York in the 616. We're back with Yelena as she tells Alexei that's just a fairy tale, referring to his dream of being a hero, and she's definitely feeling disillusioned at the start of this film. She feels like she's not a hero, but more of a pawn or a weapon for more powerful people to use with their skeevy intentions. Val hired her to try and kill Clint Barton, if you remember, but thankfully Kate Bishop was there to stop her. Yelena wants to be a hero, but probably feels like it's something she's not worthy of, similar to how her and Natasha, her sister, often felt. I also love that she calls Alexei dad here, because in the Black Widow movies, as we know, she tried her damn hardest to reunite her family, and it was real to me.
It was real to me. You are my mother.
We get this new shot of the dark void spreading over the island of New York, and it's taken nearly the whole city. It's even creeping into the Hudson River, causing the water to churn. I also like that the One World Trade Center is still shining bright. You'll never take out our Freedom Tower. Never! Look at it, standing great. Then we hear Louis Pullman's Sentry's void voice for the first time, which is creepy as hell.
I am the void. There's no use fighting.
And then a whole office of people gets wiped out, and as you can see, the darkness spread along the buildings outside the windows. This is like The Mist, or that one movie about the ghost ship. I think it's actually just called Ghost Ship. If you look closely, I love that the shadows really just engulfs everything. Even the light bulb turns black. The computer monitors shut off. It doesn't cut off the room to just pitch black. It swallows the objects in the room, almost like painting over them individually. Then we hear Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, aka Val, who is still the director of the CIA in the MCU, giving us the rundown on Sentry's abilities.
He's invincible, all-powerful. Stronger than all of the Avengers rolled into one.
They also released a slightly different teaser on Marvel's India YouTube page where they have Val saying the same thing here, but it follows it with soon to be known as Earth's mightiest hero. As you know, the Avengers were often referred to in the comics and in the MCU films as Earth's mightiest heroes, plural.
Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
So Val changing it to Earth's mightiest hero singular is quite the sales pitch and signaling just how strong she thinks Sentry is. That tied in with Val's assistant saying Sentry's gone off the rails, he's dangerous, proves to me that Val wasn't really thinking here.
Sentry's gone off the rails and he's dangerous.
However, Val is always 5 steps ahead, so I want to believe she expected this to go belly up, crossing her fingers that Sentry would just become the Void and take out half of New York, but why would she want that? This was either planned by her the entire time or was one of her bigger mistakes. Did you know that sweat, saliva, and other bodily fluids seep into your mattress over time, causing bacteria and fungus to grow? One of the best ways to ensure that your sleep space is as fresh as possible is by updating your mattress, which is why we're stoked that Helix Sleep is sponsoring this video. Get ahead of the spring cleaning and head to helixsleep.com/rockstars for more information. Helix offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe and Ultra Premium Elite collections, Helix Plus for big and tall sleepers, and the Helix Kid mattresses. Finding the perfect mattress is so easy thanks to Helix's sleep quiz. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a mattress that's perfect firmness and temperature for you. And now you can dial your setup even more perfectly thanks to Helix's new mattress topper collection. Producer Evan even got himself a premium mattress topper and he's been loving flopping down on it after a long day of streaming. Helix delivers right to your door with free shipping in the US. The mattress comes rolled up in a box and is super easy to set up yourself. I love my Helix and I think you would too. From now until the end of April, you can get 20% off site-wide during Helix's spring savings event. Just click the link in the description or go to helixsleep.com/rockstars to get started. We see a shot that we've seen before of Sentry, aka Bob, in front of a line of armed soldiers, but then we get this extended look where he blasts them all back with some sort of shockwave, rocking the men in their heavy vehicles. Then back over the skies in New York, we see the Void just erase this guy firing a gun from one of those military helicopters before it comes crashing into the scaffolding around the watchtower. We've also seen this falling chopper in different trailer cuts before and I love it. And here you can really make out those tiny little pinpricks of those little white eyes in the Void's face. It's so creepy. If Disney gives their cute little creatures big eyes to make them lovable, then this man is truly cursed with his little tiny eyes. There's just something so unsettling about those tiny eyes staring back at me. It reminds me of Art the Clown's tiny little eyes and pupils in Terrifier 3. Or do you guys remember that? Go watch that movie. Actually, don't watch that movie. I don't know if you're ready for it. The Void then says this.
You don't know what I'm capable of. Maybe I need to show you.
Oh God, that honestly, that line delivery. You go off, Lewis Pullman, have fun. We get our first line from Geraldine Viswanathan, who's playing Val's assistant in the movie. She says, "The Avengers are gone, no one's coming to save the day." And in a previous trailer, we saw that Val was saying the Avengers are not coming, but here with Val's assistant saying the Avengers are gone.
Avengers are gone. No one's coming to save the day.
It's a little more intense because some of them maybe been sucked into the Void. We see more of the collapsing scaffolding and Bucky and John Walker holding back a very distressed Red Guardian. And this is probably the moment we saw in an earlier trailer where Yelena walks into the Void. The rest of the trailer is shots we've seen previously with the gang all tied up, Bucky shooting his awesome gun, and then the Thunderbolts bursting through a window and just kicking ass. But we get a new shot of Yelena using the Widow Bites, her sister's favorite weapon. It seems like most Widows were issued this weapon during their time in the Red Room, and as we saw them using it in Black Widow. But those versions shot red dots, and Natasha's were usually blue, which we see Yelena using here. In the Hawkeye series, Yelena did use Widow's Bite when battling Echo, but there she was using the red darts. What we don't see in this trailer is any shots of Taskmaster. Some eagle-eyed viewers have already noticed that Taskmaster has been removed from the shot she was used in previously, and fans have speculated that Taskmaster might not be surviving this movie, but now we're wondering if Taskmaster even survives the first 5 minutes. Olga Kurylenko, the actor who plays Taskmaster, did not get a chair during the Avengers Doomsday casting announcement a couple of weeks ago, so, you know, it's not looking good for our girl. Sebastian Stan, Florence Pugh, Wyatt Russell, David Harbour, Hannah John Kamen, and Lewis Pullman all got chairs. I've never gone into a movie where they were so like, they're gonna die. I still want to see it. It's funny. In the Marvel India trailer release, we get another look at Yelena doing some spinning jumps as she makes her way through an exploding lab. At CinemaCon last week, Marvel dropped a behind-the-scenes featurette that went into some of the bigger stunts that they had planned for the film and how the actors have been part of these practical stunts the entire time. For instance, Florence Pugh did actually jump off that giant building in Malaysia, the second tallest building in the world. Now, she was using some stunt wire to catch her, but they did have a real stunt performer do an actual base jump off that building. The featurette showed how a lot of the main actors and cast were involved in practical stunts in the set, including Red Guardian fighting the sign spinner in the chicken suit. We also saw this chicken guy for a brief second in the Absolute Cinema trailer that Marvel put out a few weeks ago. Who is this man and why does he hate the Thunderbolts? Is he a sleeper Hydra agent or is he just, you know, a weirdo? Probably a weirdo. If there's anything this teaser has shown me, it's that they absolutely have zero chance of defeating Sentry. But that's also what makes me excited to see the movie. Marvel is doing a great job at killing super powerful comic book characters, and I don't think Bob or Sentry will necessarily die, but the Void will. I just need to see how and from what. I know that the movie will focus on and explore their past and how it directly impacts them today, especially Yelena, who's trying to find her balance and just where to go in life. Every trailer we've seen shows how they don't see themselves as heroes, but finally pull through at the end of the trailer and acknowledge, you know what? Hell yeah, we are. So I assume Yelena will save Sentry Bob by confronting the Void and giving Bob the courage or strength to pull himself apart from the Void. I don't know if that exactly will happen, but it just feels like the solution Yelena finds to her troubles will win them over in the end. And I think that's really in discovering one's true self with no strings attached and not being a puppet to everyone that's using them, aka, you know, Val. Val is also a super interesting case in this teaser trailer because to me, Val never slips up. Val's always on top of it. She is always 5 steps ahead in my opinion. But after this trailer, to me, I mean, it looks like she finally messed up because why would you create or support Sentry who has godlike powers? Do you think you can control him? Also, with all that research and monitoring you have on him, I'd expect you know he's capable of becoming the Void or simply just retaliating to a degree that you can't fight back. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Julia Louis-Dreyfus said Valentina is about 4 steps ahead all the time, or at least she thinks she is until she's not. She goes on to say all of these characters have worked for her under certain circumstances, so she would fancy herself as a bit of a puppet master, and she's very power hungry. She's a user of anti-heroes, and she definitely sees herself as the leader, the organizer of this group, but I'm not sure they see her as such. And this is what makes me believe Val just got too big for her britches and thought she could control Sentry, but she didn't know that he could become the Void. So we'll see Val finally like mess up big in my opinion, and the Thunderbolts must clean up her mess. Though for some of you that are saying that she's trying to wipe out the Thunderbolts and they escape with Sentry and prove to be a formidable team, I think her saying in her quote she sees herself as the leader and organizer of this team, she's really taking credit for all of them all the time, and it isn't really in a disappointing way. However, that's just how I see it. I think we can all interpret her quote in different ways after this teaser for sure. Comment down below what your thoughts are on the latest teaser. Did you get your tickets yet? Are you gonna dress like a chicken and go to the movie theater like that? And a special thanks to one of our YouTube members, Jeremy Dunham, who supports us at the executive producer level. Follow me at Lulu_Clemons. Subscribe to all 3 channels in the New Rockstars network for breakdowns, news coverage, everything you love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys May 2nd.